Hello and welcome to Blazing Touch on this fine, beautiful day. We're going to be continuing our conversation on Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, and our brother Sam will be leading us in that conversation. Over to you, brother Sam.
Yeah. Good evening, all. We are in prayers. Heavenly Father, as we interact this hour, Lord King of Glory, I pray for your guidance. Father, Lord, grant us the wisdom to discern the truth theory in our study and the knowledge to absorb the information effectively, Lord, and give us the understanding to apply what we learn to our lives. Father, Lord, open our minds to new ideas and give us the grace to retain the information we need. May our study, may our interaction honor you and glorify you. In Jesus' most wonderful name we pray.
Amen.
Amen. Okay, welcome everyone. Yeah, today we'll be exploring chapter 5, titled Specialized Knowledge from our book that we are studying, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Specialized knowledge is not an abstract theory, but is a tool that we can apply immediately to move closer to our goal. So this section is going to be fully interactive. So yeah, feel free to unmute your mic at any time. Feel free to chat. Feel free to raise up your hand. Yeah, so today is going to be more of an interactive section, specialized knowledge. So before we start up, I want to ask I want to ask a question as to set ourselves in this particular trajectory. And the question is, what does knowledge mean to you? Anybody? What does knowledge mean to you? You are feel free to unmute and tell us what knowledge means to you. Yeah. What does knowledge mean to you?
So within the context of the book that we are studying, I think some of the things that came to bear for me thinking about knowledge, the idea that, it's not just about knowing stuff without actually applying it. It's about having, knowledge that is applicable, that you can actually apply into things and use it. And I think the author gave an example with a lot of universities and colleges where we have, great minds, but sometimes they are not the best examples of like true success when you begin to like think about it truly, because they have all this knowledge but they're not really applying the knowledge. So knowledge for me, I think it's more than just what you know. It's about finding a way to actually apply that, like what you know. And it also, I feel like beyond just acquiring knowledge, there is a skill to acquiring knowledge. There's a skill, and that skill to acquiring knowledge is more important than what you know. The skill of acquiring knowledge. And I think that is what our school system ideally is supposed to be, like where you go to learn how to acquire knowledge. Because everything that you think you know will become outdated over time. Like just give it a couple of years and it will no longer be relevant to the times, right? There are some knowledge that, some people will say, oh, I went to school is a scam, blah, blah, blah. They're not able to get a job maybe after school because they feel like they were not really taught the skills that they need for a job. But the truth of the matter is that any type of education that doesn't give you the skill on how to acquire knowledge, it actually has failed you. It's a failure. So knowledge in itself for me, more than just learning stuff and knowing how to answer questions, is more about knowing how to acquire knowledge. That is the greatest type of knowledge. And I feel like this question is open-ended and it can be taken in any different direction.
Yeah.
But let me
Yeah.
just pause here and maybe allow for other
Yeah, Sister
insights.
Joy. Yeah, what do you understand? What does knowledge mean to you? The word knowledge, based on like, what does it mean to you, knowledge?
Uh, um, to me, knowledge simply means information, practical
Okay.
information that or skills that you acquire based on experience or education. Well,
Okay.
that's it for me.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. So from the book, the book was trying to have this contest, knowledge versus education. And the author explained something in this chapter 5. And he said that knowledge alone does not bring success. It must be organized, directed, and used towards a definite purpose. The author also said that being educated means knowing how to get the knowledge you need, not just having schooling. Let me come back to that statement again. He said, being educated means knowing how to get the knowledge you need, not just having schooling. Now, my question here is that, do you agree that schooling is not education? Yeah. Do you agree that schooling is not equal to education?
Absolutely.
Why?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, Sam, go ahead. Why do you say so, Neki?
Yeah, so I think like what I was trying to explain earlier as well, and also from the book, we know that from practical examples that we've seen, there are a lot of educated people that, okay, let me not use the word. There are a lot of people who have been through the four walls of the classroom, that you cannot necessarily say that they are educated. And because one of the examples I give, I think the definition of education says an educated mind an educated man has developed the faculties of his mind to acquire anything he desires. An educated man knows where to get knowledge when he needs it. So schooling, the way that we have it right now, like the conventional way that we have it, where somebody goes for a couple of years, goes through a system, and basically they're teaching you maybe outdated stuff, because the schooling system is designed based on the curriculum most times. And as much as they try, the curriculum is not usually up to date with what is actually happening in the real world, right? So the more they try their best to update it from time to time, but it's always because we live in a constantly evolving world and things are constantly changing. So before you are even done with your 5 years or 4 years of education, or 3 years, depending on which school you go to, like the knowledge that they're impacted to you is already outdated. So education in itself is when you've learned the act of learning, when you've learned how to learn. Because if you go to school and all you got out of school was just the textbooks and the things that you read in school, then you've actually lost out. But if you see education as a process of igniting in you that curiosity of wanting to learn, you leave that environment, and any problem or any challenge or any work that you think, okay, I want to do this, you go and research about it, you go learn about it. And So for me, that education is different from schooling, because education, an educated mind, is a mind that is open to, learning how to learn, that already knows how to learn, and is skilled in acquiring knowledge, and is skilled in knowing where to go and get the information that it seeks. While somebody who has been through school may be educated, if they have that, if they have the skill that I mentioned, but if they don't, they're just somebody that's gone through the four walls of the school without actually being educated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bro Marvin, you are out. There's a question I asked. And before I ask the question again, there's this part from the book that said that being educated mean knowing how to get the knowledge you need, not just having schooling. So my question is, Bro Marvin, do you agree that schooling is not equals to education? Why or why not?
Thank you, and apologies for
Is okay.
coming. I didn't come late. Actually, it's simply part of answering the question. In the world of technology, for example, there are. I've argued with my manager one time ago. I told him, "You asked me to document my procedures, but from my experience so far, my procedures are not consistent. Things changes. If you ask me to document it tomorrow, somebody else will. I've done some unconventional things that I shouldn't document because they are not standard. But the thing is that I solved the problem with my own method. So what am I trying to say? Even the definition of things, including education, I think things has changed. Even when we look at dictionaries and we find definition and we give it out as the definition of education or knowledge, I think things has changed. Things keep changing. So I would say that school is just one of the mediums for learning, one of the mediums for acquiring knowledge. Why will I say so? In fact, you and I know very much well that just like Nikki, I think overheard her saying that schools now don't offer us updated information. In fact, some of the students actually know better than their lecturers. So school, for example, is not like a holistic place to get knowledge. It's just one of the mediums of acquiring knowledge. In fact, in my own definition, what I should expect schools to be doing these days is just to guide students how to acquire this knowledge. Because if you say you are imparting the whole knowledge, what is actually required for someone to have the knowledge he needs to be successful in quotes, I don't think school alone is able to offer that. But they can guide the students, those who are hungry for learning. In fact, they have to be dynamic because the curriculum or their method of guiding students is also supposed to be dynamic these days because things has changed. Yes, so in my own definition, in my own opinion, yes, school is a place to acquire knowledge. If I understand the question, it's a place to acquire knowledge, but it's just one of the many. Okay.
To get education. Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much, Bro Marvin. So and there's this question I want to ask, Sister Joy. There's still on that highlight, say knowing how to get the knowledge you need. If you go back to if you make a like in retrospective, the story from the chapter 5 about Henry Ford, when they were asking questions in the courts, that asking a lot of history questions, and they were trying to prove that he's not smart. He was saying that, all these questions you're asking me, I have people that I'm working with that I can just push a button and they'll come and answer these questions for you. Now, the question I want to ask is that, for me, I'm going to share an example where they say knowing who to ask was more valuable than what you personally knew. Like sharing an example whereby I was able to, I have an issue here. I have a question that I needed to, or a situation I needed to solve. Yes, I may have my knowledge, my little knowledge on that field. But some people can just, let me go with my own knowledge rather than, following as if phone a friend or call a friend. And I want to share a situation with you whereby I was able to like forget what I know. Let me go and meet the person that I know can give me this answer. You know, and I think it happened way back. I think way back then when I had issue with my bike. You know, and I was trying to like fix the mechanism that allows the chain to rotate. So I guess something was stuck. The chain were not rotating as the way it's supposed to be. And instead of me to just, so my one man was like, you can figure it. I think you have been seeing the mechanic, you know, do it. Why don't you just do it by yourself? I said, no. Yeah, I am not a professional in this field. I do. I've studied the mechanic. I've been on the mechanic workshop, numerous cases, but I don't need to just apply my little knowledge. But I was able to like, okay, let me go to the what, to the mechanic and get it sorted out. So this is an example whereby it's a call to action. That sometimes, yes, you may have the knowledge, but don't just, okay, I have this thing, let me just forget, let me not reach out. You know, some people find it difficult reaching out to people for assistance. We have the omni, like I am a companion of knowledge. Some will say, I've been to school, the 4 corners of school, I know everything. You know, but that's not how it's supposed to be, because we have meant to understand from our first question that schooling does not equate to education. And the ability to reference someone that can give you that information makes you also knowledgeable. And I think that's what I want to highlight in this particular question. Now let's go next. Let's move on because of time. We have a lot of things to discuss. They say, now from the book also, they say power comes from specialized knowledge, but not necessarily knowledge you personally have. It can be knowledge you organize from others. And like what we see from Henry Ford situation. I said, the knowledge you don't have does not make you less knowledgeable. The knowledge you don't have does not make you less knowledgeable. So I want to ask a question here. Which one is easier? Learning everything yourself or learning how to organize people who know it? Which one is easier? Is it learning everything yourself or learning how to organize people who know it? Which is easier? Yeah. Bro Ibrahim, are you there with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah. So there's a question. Can you?
Well, learning yourself or learning how to organize people.
Which is easier?
Learning how to organize. I feel like learning how to organize people, it's easier than learning yourself.
Yeah. Why do you
That's
say so?
because like to learn, you have to know how to learn first, then before learning. So I'm sorry, so I think gathering people is easier because you just need to know the people who knows those things, and you probably just reach out to them and talk to them that, okay, see, you're trying to do this thing, you're just looking for people who have knowledge around this thing so that they can come share their knowledge. But you have to first knowing how to learn, because knowing how to learn have a lot of structures to do inside, right? You cannot just jump on materials and just understand it. Even those people who have that grace to easily learn things, if they don't have, like, people have structural way of learning on structural way of learning, right? So you now first need to figure out which one works for you first, right? And these all these things involve timing. You get, then you figure out what works for you. You will not have to test it. You get, because it's during the practice shot, that's where you now test what works. That's where you probably know that, okay, I find it easy when I'm doing this thing like this, and I find it hard when I'm doing. So all these processes for you, sometimes it's not even just work like that. It takes like years for you to understand how you understand things, or how you know what are the way you structure things for you to easily consume them and have better understanding on them so you can replicate. So I feel like gathering people is easier than learning yourself. That's my own opinion because the process
You know,
is more on learning yourself than gathering people.
so if I may refrain, the idea is that it's not all about gathering people. We have gathering people. We have organizing people. So, Brian, it's not about it's not about gathering people. You can just drop a advert. Okay, I needed this people. I need this people. I need a software developer. I need a tester. But apart from gathering them, organizing them, because remember, you have different people of different knowledge, of different concept, different approach. Yeah. So you look at it, is it easier than doing everything? Then there's some people that want to do everything by themselves. Sorry, I know there's this time say full stack developer, those that can do everything. Are you getting me? So if you look at that example now, do you feel like learning everything yourself than okay, let me go and get people and organize them to now do it? Yeah. So well, thank you for your
Yeah, just to add, it's a tricky one because both of them require knowledge
okay,
and you gotta
which is easier.
understand them because hmm,
Which
I
is
think
easier.
I think learning yourself is easier if that's the case because dealing with
Okay.
people is hard to deal with people,
Oh,
but if you're dealing with yourself, it's easier to deal with yourself. You just need to
okay.
tell yourself the truth and figure out what works for you. But with people, you don't understand their temperament. There's a lot of things to understand, and you have to be a very good people's person to be able to manage such kind of different personality and calibers of human being.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you, bro Ryan. Yeah. Okay. The next question I want to ask here, Sister Neki, there's something in this chapter 4,
Sorry,
5 that's
can I lend my voice on that?
okay. Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead, bro Marvin.
Okay, thank you. Um, I think if you ask me,
Okay.
learning to organize people. This I'm not answering from the book now. I'm just answering from what's
Yeah.
going on in
You
my
just
mind.
go personal. Yeah.
So it may not necessarily be your responsibility to learn or to be the one to organize people. But what I understand from this subject is this, that when he was talking about that knowledge is not the power, it's a potential power. So I think he was also trying to portray the fact that to know, like he was using Henry Ford, for example, he has a purpose. So there is his knowledge or knowing the people to organize for his own purpose. I mean, for knowing the people to organize is actually purpose driven. I think the point he was trying to portray is the fact that he is being driven by a purpose. There is no
Okay.
one human being that will be able to know everything. It's not
Correct.
possible for one person to know everything. But when you have a purpose to achieve, then that gives you that, even knowing who to get, knowing that person to get, or knowing them, knowing that it's important to get somebody who is an expert in organizing the people that have the knowledge to help you achieve that purpose is also a knowledge. So it is not just about learning how to organize people or learning, because of course when you have a purpose that you want to achieve, like the book is trying to direct us, you have to channel your learning towards, you have to, like, having what you want to achieve, you have to define what you even need to learn. It's only when you now lack it. So I think, in my opinion, you have to first of all exhaust yourself first. Okay, like some
Okay.
of us that started late. So if I have something to achieve and I discovered, oh, I have not got enough knowledge to achieve it, then it will now be the time, because I don't have enough of it. Then it's now for me to now find a way to bridge that gap, because I do not have it all. So I think not just to focus on learning how to organize people to do my things. Of course, there are sometimes in the stage you will be in, you will discover that you actually have what it takes to get everything you want to achieve whatever you want to achieve. But when you've grown, when you have a larger purpose, then it will now necessitate organizing people to help you achieve it.
Thank you very much, Bro Marvin. Thank you for your insight. Amazing. Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Oh, we're enjoying our time. Okay. So the author said something about specialized knowledge. Yeah, that is the cheapest service available. Why do you think so? I don't know. We have read it because I was like struggling. Like he said that specialized knowledge is the cheapest service available. So I was thinking, is it because that with specialized knowledge, all the bulk of the I don't know, I was looking at it from back then in school whereby we are meant to study a lot of courses, to attain a particular degree. We might go through the whole 400 or 500 level, you might space on like 20 courses. Are you getting me? At the end of the day, you will have a certificate in a particular discipline. But whereas in the case of specialized knowledge, it's not something that is tailored, specific, straightforward. So, but why do you think, Sizanek, I want to ask the question to you. Why do you think that specialized knowledge is it? Why do you agree with what the author said that specialized knowledge is the cheapest service available? Do you agree? Do you concur?
I do. I agree with
okay.
what the author said. So I think if you think about it, we are in a world where you go on any platform like that has all these like maybe you're looking for a developer, or you're looking for a gardener, or you're looking for anybody that is specialized in any skill. You can easily find them to a large extent, except maybe for very, 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 very niche, fields that maybe they have like a handful of people in the world that can do them, But a lot of other like specialized knowledge, there are things that anybody with enough discipline and consistency can sit down and learn. Anybody can learn to be a software developer. Anybody can learn to be an accountant. Anybody can learn to be whatever you want to talk about. And I think that is, one of the contexts that I wanted to also talk about while we were talking about the other question that you asked about, which one is easier. I don't know which one is easier, but I know which one is cheaper.
Okay.
That we know that people in top management in companies, their job is mostly to, organize and bring everybody, bring the project manager, bring the QA tester, bring everybody, combine everything and ensure that we get the end product at the end of the day. But they earn more, the top CEOs in the world, when you think about the salary of the average worker in their company, they earn more than 10 times the average worker in the company. But their job is more of strategy, of, thinking, of trying to, put things together. And that's because that top CEO, it's not everybody that can do his job. It's not everybody that can actually organize things and put things together. It's easy to have individual knowledge and have like, okay, be an expert in your field and just focus and do your job and go. But it takes another level of genius to be able to combine all of these things and make it make sense. So I think that back to your question, what was the question again? Sorry.
Why do you think that why do you think that the author said that specialized knowledge is the cheapest service available?
Yeah, exactly. So because anybody can wake up and learn any skill and become a master in it, I believe. Anybody can learn any skill, but it takes more than just knowing one particular skill to be able to know how to like I think somebody was mentioning about the skill of managing people is one of the most difficult skills that you can think about beyond just the skill of knowing how to do something. I think I was reading another book and somebody was saying that entrepreneurs and CEOs think differently from like the average people. That usually when you're faced with a problem, most people would think, okay, how do I begin to solve this problem? How do I solve this problem? But entrepreneurs and CEOs will always think, who can solve this problem? Before he begins his time is valuable, that's one thing, his time is valuable, and he believes that, okay, maybe there's somebody else that he can pay cheaply to do the same thing while he uses his time, in more, productive stuff for his overall purpose and overall goal. So my point is, as much as we think that, okay, we are still at the low level, let's start thinking the way all those, top management people and top CEOs think. There is a reason why they are at that level, and begin to think, okay, what is the best use of my time, beyond just learning. It's important to learn skills, but also, if you remember from the other book that we read, he said you do the things that you are the best at doing. And the ones that you're not the best at doing, delegate those things for the people. So as much as specialized knowledge is good, it is cheap and it is easily available. So if I'm not the best at doing it, I might as well have somebody else do it while I focus on the things that I'm good at. So I don't know if I answered your question. But
Thank you very much. Yeah. Thanks, Sister Nikki. Let's as we move on. Okay. Yeah, why most people stay at the bottom? The author says that people stay at the bottom because, one, they stop studying after school. Two, they don't schedule enough time for self-education. Three, they don't lift their heads high enough for opportunity to see them. And finally, they underestimate the value of continuous learning. The author was trying to make it seem out of the why people stay at the bottom. So the question I would like to ask in this team here is that let's be honest. Sister Joy, are you still there with us? Let's be honest. How many of us stop learning after school? Maybe this question is for everybody. How many of us stop serious learning after I left school? After you left the university, you just stop learning and you just okay. I'm one. So Sister Joy, I want to get your reaction. Yeah. And we can go around.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. So, well, to me, I will say specifically to myself. Sorry, just give me some time.
Okay, she's out. So the question is how many of us stop serious learning after school? And to add to the question, why?
Let me make it clear for everybody on this platform. I feel like what we're doing here is also education. So I don't think any one of us falls into, no matter how small what we think we're doing, at least every week we're learning something new and we're, consuming materials. Maybe not to the extent that we think that we should, but at least I think all of us here are learning something new every week. Just making it clear.
What I'm trying to say is that after you left university, there's this period for me, there's been of after, let me take myself for example. After I left university, my goal there was just to look for a job. Let's say it, let's call it spade a spade. My focus was there to get a job, and what happened was that I was in the job hunt for a purpose. Then I got a bump whereby an opportunity arose, but they gave a clause for me to even get the job that I need to go and study again. I'm like, I'm done with my degree now. I want job. I don't want to study. I've been spending more than 6-7 years studying the polytechnic and the university, and I will keep studying again. I want a job. So that was this time I stopped serious studying, and the reason I did that was because I was looking for a job. So that's what I'm trying to say, that how many of us was in that scenario, and what actually happened, or what actually made you to stop, or if you did not stop studying, what made you to continue studying after you left school? So that's the question. Yeah.
Well, okay. Sorry that I disconnected. Okay, so for me, I think after I left school, I wouldn't say I continued studying, and I wouldn't say I stopped studying entirely.
Okay.
But the focus somehow shifted, you know. You have more other things that you're focusing on. It's just like the example you gave, you focus more on your job, you know, maybe like once in a while you can just pick up something and just study, but not like it used to be back then when you were in school, you know, because now, you know, at that point when you graduated, you felt like, oh God, this is done and dusted, you know, I have other things to focus on now. So I would say like it's not like exactly that I completely stopped, you know, learning, but it wasn't like as much as I was doing when I was in school, you know. And I know
Okay.
that for most people, it's the same, you know. It it might not have stopped entirely, but it it might remain like just a fraction of what it used to be then. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Bro, Ibrahim, are you there? Can you,
Yes, yes.
yeah, can you share us your experience? Like after studying, after leaving university, did you stop learning or did you continue learning? If you stop learning, why did you stop learning? If you continue learning, why did you continue learning?
Uh, After my university period, I didn't stop because I was very hungry after I left school and I realized a lot of things that I didn't know. Like
Okay.
sometimes to an extent I was blaming myself, like how you could go through university like this. And this are you did computer science and you can't even build anything.
Hmm.
Yet like I felt that push in my spirit. I'm like, oh no, these 5 years what I just do for this common I waste these 5 years. But it was
Wow.
I later just console myself and understand the whole situation. You're just surviving then. You get, but now the survivor has even changed. Now you need to not just only survive, you need to now be updating yourself on a constant basis because the career line you selected is a very tough one, right? You need to always be at your toe, know what's happening, the new trend, what is going on in the ecosystem, what tools is these tools, do you have an idea about the tools? So it was a lot of learning. In fact, I because of the much learning, then I'm a king of pirate sites. Like if you need content, because I was always learning, right? I know all the pirate sites. And funny enough, even before I went to university to do my computer science, I already had hard disks with a lot of about 1 terabyte hard disks with video content of different things that I want to learn. So then I bought that thing because I didn't have the privilege of having laptop. The desktop I had, we were sharing it with my elder brother. So it was not enough for me. So I bought that hard disk, downloaded a lot of videos into that hard disk. Any computer I just see, I connect, I start learning before you know. Then I had to even do a bootable one partition of the disk and do a bootable so that when I connect the hard disk, I'll boot from the hard disk. So I don't use anything I'm doing is on the hard disk. I'm not doing it on your system. So that was like the learning, the hunger was there right from time. After school, the hunger was there. Still continuously. Like I learn every day. If one day pass, I did not learn one thing in this AI age. There's problem. God will help us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Moving on. Yeah. Moving on. Yeah. Yeah. The
You
time
must
is.
give me opportunities to say my own.
Go ahead, bro, Marvin. Go
You know,
ahead, my.
this is a different story for different folks. I'm
Yeah.
just like bro Ibrahim. In fact, I can't finish telling the story. I think I've told a bit of it some time ago. But when it comes to parasites, Ibrahim, you're not alone. In fact, like I said, it's just different story to different persons. First of all, going to school was as a result of understanding that my head was empty. I needed to fill it in, and I needed to like put something in there. But after school, it was as if I wasted my years because I was like, what happened? It was in fact, Unizik, computer science at Unizik. Well, we passed though, but that wasn't what I was expecting. That wasn't what I actually wanted. Even while on a regular job, Monday to Friday, I still went to Unilag. I told this story before. I finished doing my what's it called, postgraduate. It was I told the story. I think I told it before. I passed though, but I didn't go to collect my results because I felt it was workless. I finished, paid my school fee, did all the exams, passed. I didn't ask them for my certificate. I don't even mention it because that's not what I want. I wanted to be challenged. So when some people say we jackpot to UK, my own case is different. I was looking for where to study. I want my head to blow. When I came to United Kingdom, when I saw their lab, I'm like, I was asking them, why would they spend this kind of money buying Cisco routers or routers? Because it's just like a farm of it, like a farm of Cisco devices. Why would they spend millions of pounds to do this? But I actually shouted, Eureka, I found it. So when it comes to studying,
Yeah.
hey, if I should, assuming knowledge, I mean, studying this IT thing will make somebody, if it's the number of things you study that will make you rich, I would have been very rich, honestly.
Amazing.
But it's not. But when it comes to studying, Jesus Christ, I
Yeah.
don't even know how to say it. I have multiple labs in my house. In fact, the kind of servers I have one that runs up to eight virtual machines in it. Nikki will understand because she does testing. So just imagine all of them. Let me not make a long story, but I won't say I stopped. In fact,
Okay.
before this meeting, I was already doing something because there are lots of things to learn. You can't stop learning.
Yeah.
The funny
Yeah.
thing is that if we are not learning, trust me, you will be motivated to be here. It's not about magic. You cannot be here.
Mm.
It's simply because you are hungry for learning. That's why we are here listening to each other. That is just the plain fact. So we have been learning. I don't want to talk about learning about Jesus Christ because that's a different ballgame entirely. Because how can you stop learning? How can you stop learning? You can't stop learning because you cannot exhaust God. You have to keep learning.
Thank you. Wow, amazing. Okay, Sister Nikki, there's this question I have for you. From the book. Yeah, I said that people value only what has a price. People value only what have a price. You think free information today has made people more or less serious about learning? Today we have the tool, we have internet, and everything is free. But the author made a statement, and I got his own examples, with the free education stuff, if you don't attach any price, people don't value it. But the question is that, do you think that free education today has made people to be less serious about learning or to be more serious about learning? What do you think?
I think it depends on the individual. And
Okay.
for most people, I feel like for most people, it has actually had the effect that the author talks about, because when you get something free, most times you don't value it, right? But if there's a price tag to it, if you're paying something for it, you feel like it is valuable. It's like the concept of perceived value. So most times people will see something, and because the price, there's no price, is free, they will feel like, oh, this thing is worthless. It's a waste of time, For example, what we're doing here right now, like the meeting we're having here, some people would think it's free. But if we had like a poster and did like, kamikaze, as they say, do kamikaze and say, oh, seminar, this, come and be gingered and what, people will actually feel like, oh, there's value in it. And because they're paying money for it, they're going to be more serious about it. Mm-hmm. But it takes a level of discipline. That's why I said it depends on the individual. There's a level of discipline and a level of mindset shift that somebody will have, that their curiosity is so, and their desire to acquire knowledge is on another level, that they would look beyond the fact that they're not paying for it, and they will see the intrinsic value in that stuff. We live in a world where people's attention span is you see, people have the attention span of a goldfish right now because of, the fast pace at which we are bombarded with information. In fact, a lot of times, he said, on social media, you have to make your point within like the first 5 seconds, because that's how quickly people lose interest. If you're not making your point within the first 5 seconds, they're already moving on to the next thing. They're scrolling. So information is out there, really available. But the curse of it is the fact that because it is readily available, sometimes people might not invest in actually, getting that knowledge and, using it and applying it and making it count. So yeah, I don't know if I addressed your question.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I think you made a salient point there. Sometimes whatever that you don't attach value to it, you don't feel obligated to commit. Commitment doesn't follow. That we are living in a world whereby information is available, unpaid, free, and we are living in a wonderful era. So we should not feel like, okay, because this information is free, then we don't need to commit ourselves in learning it. It's free because it's an opportunity for us to actually use the resources. There was a time whereby books, you have to go to the library and meet the librarian, look for a particular book to study, and maybe somebody picked the book from the library shelf and you return it in 1 week or in 2 weeks time. You have to wait 2 weeks to get that book to study. But now we're in an area whereby internet is available, YouTube is available, and information is there for us to access. So we should value what we have now. In as much as there's no value attached to the information, we should make valuable use of it. Okay, we are moving on. Yeah. So the next thing I want to talk about from the book is they say those who schedule their spare time for study rarely stay at the bottom. Opportunity rises towards people who deliberately grow. That's from the book talking about that those who schedule their spare time for study rarely stay at the bottom. Opportunity rises towards people who deliberately grow. And I don't want to ask this question, like, if you have an 1 hour spare time in a day, will you actually commit it in learning something that will prepare you to maybe a better? We all have different job roles or job we are doing currently, professional, unprofessional. We all have different job descriptions. And there's one thing about whichever job you find yourself, do you want to grow, you want to become better. It's not the normal 8 to 5 hour shift. But the author was saying about studying to position yourself, studying to put yourself in a situation whereby when opportunity comes knocking at the door, are you ready to seize that opportunity? Because some people can make excuses. Some people can bring the situation of family, children, a lot of things, just why they need not to actually improve themselves in whichever job role they find themselves. Some are ready to stay there. But we believe that as human beings, we want to keep growing. And we are made to understand that one of the way to keep growing is by studying, is by investing your time to acquire more knowledge. Now, the question I want to ask now is that, maybe Sister Joy, if you are still there with us. Are you there, Sister Joy?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I say, if you have like 1 hour a day, Sister Joy, I know you're in medical field. Yeah. If you have 1 hour a day for the next 6 months, what specialized knowledge would you choose to do? Maybe it can be in your field, professional. If you have 1 hour a day for the next 6 months, what specialized knowledge will you choose to do or you want to learn?
Well, I will narrow it down to two.
Okay.
Yeah. So for me, if I have like 1 hour, I would like to one either invest more time in having deeper knowledge about related topics to my field, which is nursing, or I would like to invest in gathering more knowledge about fashion,
Fashion. Okay.
anything related to fashion. Yeah.
Okay. So let me ask still on that question. So what's stopping you from starting? What's actually stopping you from not starting to acquire that? You want to do this thing. If you're given the opportunity, like in like 1 hour every day, you want to invest, acquire more knowledge on fashion. What's stopping you from starting?
Well, I'm not gonna start making excuses.
Yes, all right.
I would say, I would say, well, there's a lot of distractions,
Okay.
and it, it, well, if I should say, I might like you might still see my excuse as genuine, but there's no genuine excuse, you know,
Yeah.
for me not to, start something, no matter how it is. So, well, I don't have an excuse.
Okay. Thank you. I think yeah.
I
So we'll
knew,
then
I knew where you were going to when we were asking that question. I knew you were going to come to that because,
okay.
even if you're given 48 hours in a day, and if you don't have plans on how to engage it, you
Hmm.
won't have enough time. That's just a plain fact. You know, so it's not really a matter of if you have extra. Based on what we've studied so far, it's good to be studying. We have answers to most of the questions we are asking. So we actually know um, what it takes to get where we want to get to in this life. But one thing is of the essence, which is discipline. With discipline, you can get to your destination. Doesn't matter whether you have 12 hours. People that are on the top, they also have the same 24 hours, but they were able to discipline themselves and make use of their time, engage with their time to achieve their goals. So it's not really all about the number of hours you have, but you have to do the work. Just do it.
Yeah. Thank you. So yeah. So moving on, there's this part that the author talked about. Imagination plus knowledge equals to power. The author said that capability, yeah, equals to imagination plus specialized knowledge arranged into organized plans. Capability equals to imagination plus specialized knowledge arranged into organized plan. It is not the knowledge alone. It is the creative way it is applied. So when you say you have the capability to do something, he highlights it. You need imagination. So, two, you need a specialized knowledge. And finally, organized plan. So as a human being, for us to have any capability and I agree with what the author was trying to say in this, that because if you want to have capability to do anything, you have to imagine that, can I do this thing? If you have the imagination of doing that, do I have specialized knowledge that can allow me to achieve that? Then finally, how do I organize these plans to attain that? And this brings me to the last question I'm going to ask in this section, this chapter 5, that which do you think is harder, gaining knowledge or combining it creatively? Gaining knowledge or combining it in a creative way, which one do you think is harder? So this is the last question. We are free to just share our insight. Bro Ibrahim, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Me, I think it's combining it to the creative aspect of it, because you can actually just gain a lot of knowledge without even using it. You get, and we were talking about the the studying part, like that we need to get knowledge, stuff like that. I was also thinking about it, like there are some people who gather knowledge, don't use it. So what is the point of gathering a lot of knowledge if you're not going to implement it? You get. So I feel the creative part is the aspect of implementing the knowledge you've gathered so far. Yeah, then you probably master it by practicing it, right? Since you're already implementing, so obviously you are practicing until you figure it out. Or maybe your first shot, it works. Then you now know how things works in that direction or whatever you've tried or practice. So I think merging both of them is very, very important because gathering enough a lot of knowledge is not enough to live your
Hmm.
life. Because you can have a lot of knowledge and still be broke and hungry. You know, why some people the small they have, they just make creativities and you just see them start making money. Right? That's why some of these founders they just leverage very small idea and a niche. Before you know, they started making millions of dollars. They said the company. Paystack started from that. It was a little problem they were trying to solve in the company they are currently working on, the payment company. And they figured out that the company entirely is not doing that. So they now decided to resign and go and do it. And it was just a little idea and it just sparked out to something very big. And they ended up selling the company for $200 million.
Oh,
And so that's
yeah.
creativity very important.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, yeah, I think that question is answered. I would like to get like a personal kind of. So the question I want to ask maybe Bro Marvin and Sister Neki. I would like to hear you guys like share moment when your creativity, not your certificate saving. Yeah, I know you guys work in a tech company. Yeah, can you just share a moment whereby not your creativity is your creativity, not the certificate you have attained that saved you today or solve a problem? Yeah, can you just share a moment like that? We would love to hear. Mm.
Okay, so I think for me, I feel like my journey in tech is a story of not certificates because I don't need maybe I've not shared this on this platform.
Yeah.
But I didn't study computer science. I didn't study
Okay.
anything related to what I'm doing today. I studied mechanical engineering. So for me, I think also going back to the question you were asking earlier, for me,
Mm.
while I was even in school, while we're doing all of the mechanical engineering studies, I knew that I was more interested in computers and I wanted to be learning that on the side, right? So I was trying as much as possible to be doing that on the side, right? And so after school, for me, it was like, okay, freedom at last. Now I can focus my time and my energy into this thing that I really want to, learn and go deeper into. So even when I started working, I didn't start working in software engineering. I started working as a customer service rep, taking calls, right?
Yeah.
And, but on the side, I was still learning this stuff and trusting God that an opportunity will come. So, this thing the guy said, about how your learning can take you from the bottom to, whatever heights that you want to get to. So I was just continuing to, learn, build applications, do my personal projects and stuff. And after a while, I felt like I was okay to start applying for jobs in this area that I have acquired knowledge. And I started applying for jobs outside of my company. But as God will have it, back to the same thing we're talking about, when you have a dream in your mind and you focus on it and you do the work, the universe and everything begins to align to bring the opportunities that will help you to achieve your goal. And as God will have it, there was an opportunity within the company that I worked in. They were like, oh, okay, there's this opportunity if you want to intern with a different department from the department that you work with. And it's available. There are just a few slots. So you can apply, tell your story, and let's see if we can give you the opportunity. And I did. And they were like,
Mm.
okay, wow. All right, let's give you opportunity. Come and do internship for 3 months. And after the 3 months, the team that I work with were like, we've got to have you. You're staying with us. And that was how I transitioned from working in customer service to working. So basically my point is it was never a story of certificates. So I never really used the certificate that I got from university to actually get, a job. So I don't know if that's addressed your question.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. From Marvin, thank you.
Thank you very much. I quite agree with you. I can't remember ever going for an interview and I will be asked to present myself. In fact, I got distinction in masters masters in cybersecurity and advanced networking. I've not used it. It's already past 3 years. I haven't used it. Anyway, I will just give an example. When I was in Bristol, I think I've mentioned it before in this platform. It's very simple and small, but it's actually, I keep remembering it because it is pure. It's not, I won't say I'm too creative, but it's just something that I just like doesn't exist. I think I mentioned it when I said I provided a solution that is unconventional. It's not just a standard way of doing things, which happened when an analyzer. Now I work in pathology. I've always been working in pathology. Analyzer broke down, and the company. What actually happened was that they reimaged the machine attached to the analyzer, and that was only one available. There was no other one, so they kept sending samples to different NHS organizations because they didn't have an alternative. And that was supposed to continue happening. And you know what happened? Delays. And some managers will begin to get heat, questions and all of that. So I actually, like, before that happened, I don't know how it happened. I was able to like make a copy of whatever. I didn't even know what I was doing. I never knew it will ever become useful. I just like made a copy of whatever that was on the system. I kept it for myself. So when this started happening, so I don't know how I used, copying and matching files. Nick, that for you to run an application, you have to install it properly. But I was just using my imagination to copy, install, because I know when you install an application, it creates application folder, then it launches from that. So I was just like read the log, understand how the application launches. Then I began to copy and paste because the application required to be licensed. So the bottom line is that at the end of it, I launched the application and it was working. So everyone was like, how did you do it? How was it possible? Because the organization, they were like, tell us how you did it. I couldn't just start telling you how I did it because you can't replicate it. It's not going to work.
Yeah.
You can't replicate it. They actually forced me to write it down. In fact, my manager was on me. I have to write it down because they are like, if the organization that owns the application and couldn't solve it and able to fix this, then it has to be a solution. In case if it happened again, I reluctantly put it down, but I refuse to explain it because it's not just something I want somebody to say, Chuka did it, and now I'm doing it, it's not working. So, but back to the original question, the question you asked before now about knowledge and using the knowledge, how did you ask it? Combining it to achieve a purpose. Don't forget that, this knowledge of a thing is just a fraction. People know, for example, Muslim, there are some Muslims that actually have Bible in their head, but it's not useful to them. And don't forget that knowledge is actually your imagination and your emotion operates on the knowledge before you can actually talk about combining it to achieve a thing. So knowledge is just a fraction. You can actually get knowledge. In fact, if you spend 10 minutes getting knowledge to combine it to achieve something, you might actually spend up to 24 hours before it can make sense. So why I'm saying this is simply because it was just because of understanding of how things works, especially application, especially using such application because it's what I don't know how to explain it. Understanding all of those things, I was able to create something out of my knowledge of other things. And thank God again, we have the Holy Spirit. He will always help us. He will always inspire us.
Yeah, thank you very much. And this brought us to the end. Yeah, in summary, I think from our discussion, we have seen that knowledge becomes powerful only when we organize it towards a definite goal. Very important. The difference between people that rise and those that stay at the bottom is because it's not because of they don't have access to information. You can have access to information, like we have discussed. But I think the difference is that the consistent pursuit of specialized knowledge and the courage to use it with your imagination. That's what differentiates people that want to rise and those that want to stay at the bottom. So I would like to thank you all for openly sharing. I think today we really share openly and personal opinion and personal experiences. Yeah, I hope today this sparked not just ideas. We didn't just come and share ideas, but I think we're able to bring decisions that we follow through in our day-to-day life. So thank you very much for this opportunity. Yeah, Sister Nate, over to you.
Thank you, Brother Sam. We really appreciate you. Thank you for leading the conversation. We appreciate you. Wonderful, wonderful time we've had. Okay. So, Sister Joy, do you mind praying for us?
Okay, in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Our dear Heavenly Father, we thank you. We give you all the praise. Thank you for the privilege of God you've granted unto us to learn together, to increase in knowledge. We pray, Abba Father, that you give us the grace, of God, to put this knowledge together and to be creative with it and help us to take, oh God, the necessary action. We pray, oh God, as you do all these things, pray that you will bless us. In Jesus' mighty name we pray.
Amen.
Okay.
Okay, sorry, I think there was an issue with the audio. I didn't know when we ended, but okay, let me end the recording. Thank you.